けなものとか置いてないよね。
ああ、なるほど。
大丈夫です。
Ready? Yes, welcome back again, dear colleagues. Can we be kindly seated? We'll be starting in a minute. Thank you. Okay, I think this morning's wonderful opening ceremony, we are now back to the same spot for a first keynote speech. Today, under the sub-team 1, QA and Sustainability Agenda, we have a distinguished keynote speaker with us, and I have the pleasure to introduce dear colleague Kyosuke Nagata, President of Tsukuba University, and also President of the Japan Association of National Universities, and he will share his experience and views on the theme with us. Please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, this is Kyo Nagata, the ex-president of the JUAA. Right now, Professor Takahashi-san is the president of JUAA. And I have some responsibility for this conference, in part, actually, because 2 years ago, I proposed Tokyo for 2025 in Cafe Conference, and you voted us, and finally you assemble here in Tokyo. Thank you very much. Welcome to Tokyo. Right? Oh, yeah. And this slide shows you that the time at the moment when you voted Tokyo 2 years ago. And a number of the people, probably you know, is also on the screen. And I have to say that thank you very much for your support for us to have this opportunity. And right, and also that I'm very happy to see a number of the people when I met in Astana, Kazakhstan, in particular in gala party in the dancing time, and so that you will have the same thing from the Professor Takahashi-san, who will give you another dancing time at gala dinner. And today, I would like to tell you just several keywords. With this, you will discuss in this conferences. So that I don't explain detail, but I can give you several very important keywords. And this slide shows you that the introduction, but also probably give you the conclusion of my talk. So what a QA matters right now, or how the QA is going to in the future. And a summary is that QA must be changed from the compliance to the continuous improvement or innovation. Or QA is we have to understand that QA is the tool for innovation and transformation. Well, of course, not only HE, higher education, but also the society. And QA connect the people or higher education with the sustainability and inclusion. And right now, we are living in the very turbulent world right now, and many things is rapidly changing, and we are facing this extensive changing. And also, we have a number of the global issues, including climate changes, demographic changes, and inequality or digital shift, or many things, even including the disputes or say that the conflict in the world. And I actually recommend that the higher education must be proactive. What does it mean that? I used to believe that science and technology will make that the future, and the people improve the present world. But right now, I changed that my mind, so that the future is made by human beings, and science and technology solve the issues right now we are facing. So that most important thing, or most important, is that nurturing the human resources for the next generation. And so that higher education must be proactive. And also QA, catch up that what's going on in the society. That's a very important point. And this slide again, the relation between the QA and the social impact. Well, already, so that as you know that the QA promotes education, also QA has that the social responsibility. It's through higher education changing, QA probably very much involved in the changing of the society. And in fact, that the QA is linked to the SDG 4 already, he mentioned already. And also QA is the fundamental for long-term university changing. And now I would like to tell you a little about Japan, where we are, actually what is going on in Japan. Yuko-san already mentioned that we are facing the very severe demographic problems. And this red line shows you that the population changes in Japan. And we are going to very, very small number of the 18 years old students. Well, probably 1/3 of the peak time. So this is a problem. And it's a magnifying of the disease, so that the demographic population is decreasing. And enrollment rate is, of course, increasing, but this demographic problem is the largest, one of the largest problem in Japan. And also probably this is a problem for the developed countries. In other words, in a developing country, it's a demographic problem is a little bit different because they're just a vast increasing of the population. So we have the two problems in the world right now. And in Japan, higher education facing the number of the difficult questions. But most of this problem is due to the limitation of the Japanese system itself. And as you can see that Japanese structure of the higher education is very tight, and the limit of the changes in education. So that we have to, we want to change of the Japanese policy for higher education. Well, of course, we have very rigid curriculum, which is very nice for the student, but the flexibility is low, so that we have to change many things. And also we very late, actually, we have the lag in terms of the internationalization. Of course, everything's open for the international stage, but higher education or QA of the HE in Japan is a little late to the international or standard. That's a problem. And demographic problem give you that the very difficult questions. This is just a summary of the players, for example, for baseball, but the football or something, basketball, same. And baseball is consisting of the players of the different level. And we prepare of the education environment for each stage of the student. This is not only for high school. I mean that this is a level of the different kind of the talent of the Japanese students. And final stage, we have the 800 professional baseball players. They are distinguished guys. However, demographic problem shrink everything into the one side of the at the peak time in Japan. It means that there is no good baseball player as we did have. Or same thing true, football or chess game or painting, anything. So demographic problem gave us that the big issues have to be improved. And Japan also has that the problem in the funding. And this slide just show you that the egg and chicken relations. So if you want to do that, the more education and research, you need the money. And if you have money, you improve that the education and research. But which is fast? Well, always in all over the world, you discuss about this one. But in the case of Japan, its situation is severe. Its education fee and research fund is not increasing. So that we are facing this and we have to overcome over this problem. Okay? And so that's next I would like to a little about regional issues, in particular in Asia. And in Asian countries, we looked at, of course, enrollment rate is increasing. It's very good. However, the education level is unequal. It's not constantly the same. It's different from each other in terms of the locations or countries and area. And so that's one problem. And also a QA or higher education, actually higher education is trying to collaborate. It's okay, but QA is fragmented in this, even in the Asian area. And also the we have to collaborate in every sense. However, we feel that there are little difficulty for this collaboration. Well, of course, JUAA is making a lot of effort to collaborate with the QA agency in the Asian countries. And also, I think the trust is the most important things. The trust is different from accountability, different from the reliability. Trust based on that, the probably empathy and some reliability, so that we need of the fundamental empathy between agency or between countries or between any organization. That's one problem. And we have to make that the cross-border framework. As I say that it's education or research are a global or at the global stage, so that we need discussion with the agency outside of Japan, outside of this area. So we need the framework, beyond the borders. That's a very important point, and I would like to emphasize. JUAA is making, as I say, that the effort for that. On this slide, it summarized that our network partners and our MOU partners in Asian as well as the Summits and the European agencies. And in fact, that with the Taiwan agency, we already tried to commonly evaluate of the both systems. So Japan joining into the Taiwan system, Taiwan agency is joining the Japanese system. Both are encouraging each other to evaluate or to work for the QA in each country. So this is probably the first stage to step forward into the world. And the final session, I would like to just give you that the several keywords that we have to rethink actually. And first of all, we have to evolve. Why? And actually, this slide shows you that there are to support innovation, flexibility, trust in our world. And we support HE. Otherwise, HE in individual countries are individually evolving. But we need some consent around HE because our students take the classes even outside of Japan. Our students join in the classes outside of Japan, so that everything is rethought at the level of the global stages, so that we have to think, we have to evolve, and as I said, QA always, oh, you are inspection agency. No, we are innovation agency. Together with the higher education institution, we make the new age or new style of the higher education, the QA need for the innovation. And also the most important thing that we build trust through our partnership. Again, I emphasize that trust is not only accountability or reliability or some other things, has to be based on empathy. That's very important. So therefore, we rebuild or build of the trust. That's the first, actually. And I repeat this again in this slide. And so that we have to change our status. QA agency has to be changed from the inspection agency to the making something new with the higher education inside you. And one of the very important thing is that always QA is not based on the power outside of the higher education institution. The most important thing is the higher education institution itself make effort to improve its own system, so that inner or inside evaluation system for development is very important. And actually, I would like to give you one example from our university. Internal quality assurance system in the University of Tsukuba is consisting of these line of it. So that we of course support degree system. We always improve skill for the education, and also we constantly doing the IR institutional research in terms of the education. And also, we always do that, the higher education research. And based on these 4 points, we always improve our system. And I would like to, I don't want to explain detail, but these are points, what we are thinking very important, and the rubric for monitoring and program review. Every year we did this kind of the review in the inside of the universities, and then always we check out, and also always we improve our education system from inside, and that's a very important point right now. So that this internal evaluation system has to be more improved. And for review, situation is a little changing. Actually, of course, that we need a transparent peer review system, but we are full of the data. In fact, that the AI support us to summarize that any kind of the data right now, so that has to be peer review is based on data, but this data is actually helped by technology, so that enhanced or self-assessment is very important. And it is much easier than previously. If you can use the AI system, maybe you can very easily correct the data from all over the world, and also you can summarize, analyze these data by yourself. And this slide is actually saying that the AI is something. So AI is very useful, but the AI also has risks. And because the AI summarize just average of the concept or average of the events in the world. But this is not specific for your institutions. So that you can utilize the AI, but you don't believe completely that AI. So just AI is a tool, but the AI is very useful. And used to be, we took that year several months to summarize that many data, but within a week, we can summarize the same quality of the data by AI. So the AI is very useful. And AI has another problem. In the sense of the student learning, that's you are facing this difficulty. So we say recent generation is AI native or IT native, of course, but AI native, so that they can ask always to the smartphone or computer, what can you do? But as you know that this is sometimes not good enough for the education. So education is not only based on the knowledge, but also based on the intelligence between people and people understanding. So that we have to think that how to use that AI in particular in education or nurturing the students. Very useful, but we have to think that this is a point, again, not only for higher education, but also the QA. And needless to say that higher education system are collaborating with the society, including industrial section. And so that HE also need the aspect from these points. So we collaborate society. We need to collaborate with industry even. What? Why? No. We need, even for the QA, we need some aspect or some opinions from industry where the students are going to work. So therefore, we need the opinions, feedback from the industrial sections. And that's another aspect. And also, we have to understand, of course, that the HE, higher education institution, is the innovation incubator. So it means that QA help that or support that. So our system, QA system, must be changed to support of the innovative education or innovative research in the higher education institution. And already I mentioned that education research already in world stage level, so that we share a standard in all over the world. And also we have to understand local diversity. And maybe without understanding of the diversity, depending on each area or countries, maybe we can share that whole bunch of the concept of QA. So that we need more discussion for the sharing concept and understanding diversity. Okay, and other thing is that just mentioned that. And other keyword is the adaptive, inclusive, or resilient. There's another keyword for higher education institution and also the QA. So adaptive. So because the society is changing, education system is changing, so that we have to adapt this moving system. And also inclusiveness is very important. We include the many different aspects. As I say that even we needed some opinion or aspect from the industrial section. Okay, and so that we have to change to be the inclusive, and we need more opinion from many kind of the stakeholders, and as I mentioned already, we need more technology for QA, and technology is developing every day. We have to develop every day. Okay. Right. So that already I mentioned that a lot of keywords to take at home, but again I just summarize that something in this slide and this slide. So most important thing is that we have understanding for that QA is the one of the very useful and powerful tool to change the society through higher education and institute research and educations. And another thing must be, you have to understand that, is that QA is always for students, not for teachers, actually for students. Don't forget that this word. And right, this is it. Thank you very much. We have enough time, so that he said, I have to take the questions. Well, today just I outlined that, so that detailed discussion will be held in these other sessions and these conferences.
Peter Okebukola from Nigeria. I'd like to thank our first keynote speaker for a very brilliant speech. I am combining what you said with what the president of Inquiry said in our opening speech. Together, we are in for a wonderful Inquiry conference in Tokyo. When I listened to you at the beginning, you indicated that there are challenges facing higher education in Japan. We have challenges facing higher education in Nigeria, in Namibia, in the 194 countries of the world. But what I like to hear when people talk about challenges is to see how we are marching on to break down these challenges. You mentioned a couple of things, 4 of them, and I picked out 2 about challenges facing higher education in Japan. One, you say, is curriculum rigidity. The other, you talked about demographics. But you see, I was waiting anxiously, I was making my notes, waiting anxiously to hear how you are punching these barriers in the face. Unfortunately, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear any of those, because I'd be delighted. As Fabrice told us in a meeting a few days ago, that, look, this conference is about sharing experiences, sharing best practices all over the world. So I'd like to hear from you about how Japan is tackling the challenge of curriculum rigidity. I'm going to share my experience at some point, maybe tomorrow when I present my keynote address, but it's a different thing on artificial intelligence, which you mentioned so very well and nicely too in your presentation. So you have taken some little wind off my sail for tomorrow, but you focused finally on your university, and I must congratulate you as the president of that university for the wonderful things you are doing in your micro world. But what do I want to hear? I want to hear what is happening, because we give examples of Japan in Africa, in Europe in about good practices. So when I come here, I had to fly 6.5 hours from Lagos to London, 15, 14 hours from, I'm still sleepy, by the way. So it would be nice for you to let us know how that is happening. And you talked about reframing quality assurance. And you gave us some recipes. And I said, can the preacher practice what he preaches? That is, I mean, how is Japan reframing all of these things? You talk about embracing flexibility. You are telling us from the rest of the world, embrace flexibility. How is Japan embracing flexibility? How are you adapting quality assurance frameworks? So aside from the local, in your University of Tsukuba, I'd like to know what's happening nationwide. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your questions. First of all, I would like to answer in general. Okay. Many agency or many higher education institution experience a number of the challenges supposed to be because for these 50 years or 100 years, you experience that many things. So that we try to discuss with together. That will give you that another idea to solve that you're facing. Because you experience, for example, 50 years ago, Japan has that real problem in the increasing demographic problems. At that time, we didn't have that enough higher education institution. That's 50 years ago. However, 50 years later, we have too much universities and so less student candidate. So that we have the two experiences, even in the demographic problems. So that many institutions, agencies, they experienced some of that you're facing. So therefore, we try make that discussion and world standard, that in general. In particular, for the Japanese situation or our university situation, first most important thing that we actually, the faculty should understand the most critical thing. Many problems there. There are so many things, but faculty members, professors don't understand exactly what is the most critical things. In the case of this population problem in Japan, still many professors really understand, well, probably do not really understand that this problem. But discuss again, and then at least some of the universities or right now many universities understand that this critical situation. So therefore, now we have to start the preparation for the 10 years later situation. What's happening? So we have to recruit, for example, the international student in addition to the domestic student. To this end, we have to change entrance examination, for example. But it takes time, so that we have to start right now. So that in this case, I emphasize that the population problem. But if you focus on the different things, for example, how is the science and technology is going, and how we reflect this development into the education. For example, 10 years ago, we realized that digital or technology or IT technology is very important, so that we focus on education for this digital education. Well, right now, what is coming next? Well, supposed to be every student, young student, should understand that the quantum concept, not for the quantum computer, but even what is the quantum humanity right now. So it changed, so that we have to adapt to the development that's going on and worldwide. So in fact, that in Japan, there is no, well, only a few classes in quantum humanities. I can't find out, but if you go to the United States or European countries, you can find very easily the quantum humanity as a classes. And so this is behind in the case of the Japan. So therefore, I understand this one so that we improve. We have to improve that my university at least, so that next April we introduce that the quantum science and quantum humanity for the young student, for example. This is the case of the development of science and technology. That case is for population problem. We have many problems, but always, what is the most critical things? Then after, we have to move. We need, discuss, we need think, but we need to start move. That's most important. Then after, if you make some, probably mistake, well, don't worry, you change or you improve that. But without any action, we cannot do anything. So that if you think something, discuss with your worldwide friend and then try. And step one, the first step, that's very important. Well, even if this is the first penguin, doesn't matter. Try it. That's from my thinking. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Nagata. I'm ready to take, we can take one or two questions. So hands.
Over there, right side.
Thank you very much. That was a really interesting speech. My name is Yusra Mizugi. I'm the provost at the University of Birmingham in Dubai. I think if we looked back 10 years, and you've kind of done some reflections on the things we need to do, and I wonder if we were in 2015 now, would we have anticipated some of the things that we as a sector have faced, COVID being one of them, the disruptions that AI pose, obviously being the other. If we were to meet again in 2035, what will we be discussing? What do you think are the trends that are coming our way? Obviously, AI is one of them, so that can't be the answer. But what will we be dealing with, and where will our sector be in terms of quality in education? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And when we suffered from the COVID-19, we can't see that the student in campus. At that time, we realized that, university needs students. So again, that we realized that the student is the most important target for our institution and agency. And your question for the future, or I would like to say that we probably compete each other for a long time, but a stage is changed, probably from competition to the collaboration. That's the most important point, because university ranking or something other facilitate or stimulate the competition. Well, competition is the not real things. Probably the most important thing is that how we make that education system good. So it means that competition is probably some power to improve that this point. But collaboration is more important, because we can't experience everything, but our friends experience many things. So that we need collaborate based on trust. As I said, that trust based on empathy. So what kind of the empathy? Well, maybe, situation depends, but we always trust each other, then discuss it and collaborate. Just for students, that's it. Okay, thank you very much.
We have time for a last question for Dr. Nagata.
Right.
I have a strict question to you, because you have demographic problem, and maybe QA have to reflect to the family life, and higher education have to promote people to build stronger family, not the virtual life, real life more.
Actually, it's independent of the demographic problem. it's a higher education, give you that the not only knowledge, but also the wisdom how to live, actually how to live your life. That's most important things. That therefore, if you pursue of what is the best way to live, that sometimes give you that a quantum technology or quark research. It's not far away from each other, so that you try just to find out the well-being that's you pursue it. Based on that, maybe higher education institution is not only just well-being word, but also the science technology. So that has to be for our well-being. That's most important, as it's independent of the demographic problems. Right? So we will see in a gala party for dancing tonight. Okay, see you then.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nagata. Thank you very much. I think there is a token of appreciation. Dr. Nagata, please, if you want to come back to stage, on stage. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh. We do it again. Dear friends, dear colleagues, now it's time for a coffee break, and after we start with the breakout sessions at 11:20. So all the breakout sessions will take place on the 4th floor, except one on the 3rd floor. So see you there.